Hi children, it's Wednesday today, so well done. You had a jolly good go yesterday. It's quite hard when we're building the idea of a persuasive letter and a persuasive writing, and that's why we're working right straight away within the context of what we're going to write our letter in. So you'll really, by the time you come to write it, you'll really have all those ideas collected in your head. And if you're still not quite sure about it, don't worry. This is a sort of in year 4 is the first time you really start thinking about it. So it's something that you'll carry on getting better at. This is your first go. So when we do things for the first time, we're not expected to be brilliant at it. We're just really learning and starting to think about it. So with our writing to persuade today, we're going to look at your word choice. So like with any writing, when you've got a reason to do writing, the words that you choose are really important. And in your packs I sent home, you had one of these. And so you've got a few of these, but we're going to look at this one to start with just quickly. So these are words that you can include when you're writing because they're very good at making people think and persuading them and convincing them. So we've got important, best, must, powerful, vital. Vital's a very good one. You know, it sort of makes out that it's vital that you do it. It's really important that you do it. Using the word down to the left of believe. It's really important to believe, and you can use that a lot. I believe, and you're letting them know what you think. So there's a few words there that you might use, and just have that in the back of your mind, or have that sheet available when you do come to write. So choosing words is really important, and we're going to look today at 2 types of word. We're going to look at superlatives and comparatives. Now, some of you might not have heard that word before, and to be honest with you, I wasn't really sure of it until I had to teach it. So a superlatives is where you're using the biggest, the greatest, and you're putting est on the end, and you're doing it to exaggerate the points. Because if you want people to think what you want and you want to persuade them, you know, you need to exaggerate it. So the comparative one is it's the most amazing, more exciting than. So you're comparing it to something else, or making out it is the best. You cannot get better. So we're going to have, and that's all about exaggerating the point, I think, and I think you get that now. So we're going to have a little look at some examples. So you start off by looking at big, and big is the word, but we're not just going to say big. We're going to say it's bigger or it's the biggest. So it's a bit like boasting, isn't it? You become quite boastful in what you're doing, but you're doing that to become exaggerated. So the film was a bit more boring than I thought it would be. The film was the most boring thing I've seen in ages. So you're really expanding and exaggerating how it was. Children are often quite good at doing this, especially when they're meant to be doing something, they're trying to make excuses as to why they're not doing it. See if your parents might pick you up on it when you're using it without even realizing. Your car was cheaper than mine. Our package deal to Spain was by far the cheapest holiday I've ever been on. So a little bit boastful in that context, but we're going to think about it in the exaggerating context. I was cleverer than when I was younger. Sarah is the cleverest student in our year. So that's the point of it, and that's what happens. So let's think about it in our context, the context of our writing. So we've got our points for and against the wind farm again. And this time I thought we'd focus on the idea of what they look like. So one of the things people don't like about wind farms is they think they ruin the view. So they say, oh, we've got a beautiful view of the moor. Why have you put loads of big sticks with twirly bits on the top of it? That's not a very good way of explaining it, but you know what I mean. And so if we want to change the way they think, because that's what we want to do, if we want to convince people wind farms are a really good idea, so if we want to change the way we think, we've got to think about that in a positive way. So using our art, dynamic sculptures, we can imagine, and you know, I think they almost do look like dynamic sculptures. The dynamic sculptures, we can imagine that they're dynamic sculptures and think about how they enhance the view. So if people have got something they're not happy about, we need to put a positive spin on the thing they don't like. So I have got some pictures, she says. Did that click on? Here we go. So we're taking the idea And I've just got some pictures up here of sunset. And I always drive home quite often, especially in the winter when the sun's setting. As I drive home past them and I can see the moors in the distance and the sun setting, and I can see the wind turbines that are just past Bow. And I do think that they look beautiful. So we might say the most beautiful sight. That's an example of one. And then if we're really getting into it, we could say the tallest wind turbine silhouetted by the brightest sun. So we're kind of trying to make that thing that people might think looks ugly, actually make it positive, make it a really positive thing. Now, what I would like you to have a go at doing today is taking those two ideas and putting them into a paragraph where you're trying to argue that wind turbines enhance the view, they make the view better, they improve the view. And so that is actually quite tricky. So some of you might want to have a go on your own. Some of you might want to look at my example that's coming up and then have a go at your own. So it's really, we're just feeling our way. This is the tricky bit when you're not in class, because normally I get a sense from you being with me about what we're going to do. So what I've done is try to imagine that you're in class with me and what would we do. So I'm going to give you an example. If you're right here now thinking, oh, I want to go and have a go at describing those turbines and talking about how beautiful they are, I'm going to use those pictures. I'm going to really think about the words I use to try and convince you that they aren't a bad thing and they look really amazing. You might want to have a go at it. If you don't, you want to have a little bit of a help with that first. Have a look at this paragraph that I've written. So some people even may consider wind turbines to spoil the natural environment, but I believe they enhance the view. What is more beautiful than watching the gentle turning of the tallest turbines silhouetted by the brightest sun? So I've turned that into the whole idea that, you know, it's the most beautiful thing. And I've realized I've missed my question mark off, haven't I? Because that's what is more beautiful. So I've actually used a rhetorical question at the same time as putting in the superlatives and the contrasting ideas. The most beautiful sight at sunset. Okay, so at this point, you just might want to use mine and maybe choose a few different words, or you might have your own ideas. If you want your own ideas, I've just put on the next sheet here some artwork of people who've been inspired by it. Just might give you some more ways of describing it, so that you know, you might think about how else you might want to describe them and make it positive. So you've got sort of two options there. You can stay within the one I did and just really think about that and maybe copy that one down with a few changes, a few tweaks. Or you can, you can move to that one where you perhaps collect some words and have a go at your own. It's up to you which one you do, which one you feel more confident with. And what I would do, well, you can just move the video back and forth so you can see which one you want to do. So well done. Have a go at that, using that language and those word choices to make it sound amazing.